50% of the resource, then it's 60%. Then, another 5% taking up 30%, that's 90%. That's going to cause quite a bit of inflation. And I think, I don't know to what extent that's known by the U.S. government, or how much, I think it's known, but I don't know what extent that plays in their decision making, but I imagine it does. And I think the reaction to that is not get angry, not go to riots, and not burn things down. That never works. We end up being like Somalia. We end up disaster. And I know it's such in our nature to want to riot and yell and scream and tear stuff down. It's not going to work. It's just absolute disaster. And climate disaster is going to happen. There's going to be water shortages. We have the dam right now in California that's could possibly break, and that supplies a large amount of the drinking water in California. I think it's the tallest dam in the United States, taller than the Hoover Dam, Oroville Dam or something like that, built in 1968. Well, that dam is, already the spillway, there's problems with the spillway, there's a sinkhole next to it, it could collapse. And that's just the beginning. That's the result of, this erratic weather conditions that are caused by overall increase in heat being trapped by the greater amount of CO2. CO2s are molecules that trap the light waves because they're a little bit darker, for lack of a better word, say it scientifically, denser than a little bit. My science on this is rusty, but then they basically trap the light, some of the UV light rays that come down, some of the light rays that come down from the sun, they trap some of those, warms the earth, and results in erratic weather, rainier days in California. California has a really crazy amount of rainy weather that's causing this overflow in this dam and problems with it. And this will continue. Might take 2 generations to kind of unwind this. And it's going to cause a lot of hardships for us. And the last thing we need to do is go rioting and overturning this government. What we need to do is look at the underlying problem to all of this. The underlying problem to all of this is energy. Energy has been part of the human journey from the time we left Africa. The time that we basically were pushed out, maybe marginalized. And evolved into the species we are now. And energy, fire allowed us to basically extract more calories from the food we ate. It changed our physiology, made our brain grow. The agricultural revolution changed our sociality. Some suppose that our complex brain is a result of the social navigations that we had to make, social calculations that we had to make as chimps and all the way down the line as humans. Further revolutions, the Industrial Revolution with Darby and smelting coal in 1709, because England was out of trees at that point in time, and so they had to find another source. Coal was a much better way and cheaper way to smelt iron, and made that readily available, increased the accessibility of iron, and all sorts of things, from kitchen pots to buildings and warfare and guns and whatnot, so cannons and all that type of stuff. So as the Industrial Revolution continued, we started relying on coal and then oil. British fleet converted to oil around 1910, I think it is. We're at a point where the cheap sources of energy have run out. A lot of our prices are dependent on a barrel of oil. A barrel of oil will feed a human for a lifetime, and the energy in a barrel of oil again supplies a human for a lifetime, and one human being uses the energy equivalent of like 77 slaves in the United States, that is. The energy equivalent, if you look at it from barrels of oil that are used for everything from our computers, our cars, our equipment, the goods that we receive that are manufactured. All this is equivalent to each person having like 77 slaves. That is not sustainable. But what it is giving us unprecedented prosperity, so that we have time for me to give you this video, and also time for scientists and for the the advances in science, medicine, the arts, entertainment, and whatnot. But as the energy sources dry up, we start accessing tar sands where we have to put in more energy and get less energy out. That's going to ripple through the prices of everything that use oil, whether it be plastic products or the automobiles we drive. So prices are going to go up, and we can say, well, let's be content with advancing solar technology, advancing wind and tidal and geothermal and hydroelectric, and let's just stay on this planet. Or we can kind of take another look and say, are there other energy sources? Cheaper ways of extracting the energy that we need that can bring down the prices, stop everybody scrambling from the lowest worker at McDonald's to the highest CEO at Amazon, working obscene hours trying to keep their slice of the pie, because everything's getting tighter. Everything's getting more precarious, and everybody's sweating. I mean, I work as kind of a senior level accountant and interact with everybody from the CEO all the way down to the base workers, and everybody's sweating. And this is not sustainable. It's not psychologically sustainable. It's not socially sustainable. It's creating us to be more isolated. It's creating psychological problems, and we're not breaking out of giving our power away to government and other things to fix things. But if we want to take our power back, we have to stop being so scared. We have to stop having to survive all the time and spend all our time surviving. And the only way to really do that is to find cheaper, more abundant sources of energy. There's been a variety of experiments done in tapping what some people would call zero-point energy. What Schrodinger, physicist back in the early part of the 20th century, said was energy that's kind of right in front of us. Cubic centimeter of space right in front of us has enough energy to be equivalent to the mass of the solar system. And Tesla and some others have fooled around with that, and there have been attempts ever since then to fool around with that. And what we see is kind of a arrested development. And I think the arrested development of extracting free energy, whether it's from magnetic flux, the kind of residual energy and electromagnetism, or whether it is the residual energy at the 0-point state. I don't know if there is residual energy, but another thing is kind of a cold fusion type of approach, which actually has been announced, I think, by Skunkworks, that they're proposing this X billion dollar, I think it's $2 billion, fusion reactor generator that can sit on the back of a pickup truck. So, but what's peculiar about it is the arrested development that it's in. If we look at the progress of attempts at getting energy from other ways besides raping the planet, or even solar cells and windmills sort of kind of rape the planet, because we have to rape the planet to build the materials for the solar cells and the windmills themselves, and spend energy recycling those materials to produce more solar cells and windmills. Some of the I think it's not only is that not sustainable, the return on energy from the solar cell and windmill under current standards is way lower than a barrel of oil. That means prices are going to drastically inflate, and there's kind of a upper limit to the amount of solar cells and windmills that we can put on the planet. Obviously, there's enough to kind of power things to some degree, but it's prices are going to go up, because right now there's limitations on what solar cells can do. China's making some advancements in it. So, and those limitations will, kind of keep us on this planet. And I think there's another desire among the human being, like all life itself, like the universe, which is expanding at an increasing speed, an increasing rate. We want to expand. We want to expand off of this planet. We want to explore. We're explorers. We explored ever since we left Africa. Exploration is part of the Bible. Exploration is part of our mythology and religion. We love to explore. All life loves to explore. And I don't think we want to stay on this planet until the sun explodes. I think we want to get off this planet and touch other worlds. And we can't go that at going at the speed of light. We have to go faster than the speed of light, or we have to cryogenically freeze ourselves and wait 1,000 years. And that's kind of risky. I think there are ways, when things kind of seem impossible like that, I can't go at the speed of light and really reach another planet in a lifetime. Maybe that's a universe saying that there's other ways to travel. There's other ways to connect through this universe. We can't just kind of use energy and then push our way through things. Maybe there's a different way than just pushing or opposing things. And I think that's the way that society needs to go. We need to go from stop, driving over things, and stop cutting things down, and stop, with a plane, driving through, birds in the air and driving through the air itself. We're just pushing through things. This oppositional way creates a lot of energy, and the universe really doesn't work that way. That's not sustainable. The more and more you do that, the more energy you use up, until you get to a point where you just can't do it anymore, because you're just using up so much energy to be pushing everything through the universe that there's just not any more energy to support an expansion of such a paradigm. Thus, we need to move from pushing through things to a connecting, because ultimately that's kind of what the universe is. It's a connecting. We need to stop taking everything. When we push through things, we're taking the arrangement of the way things are as the way things are, and that's not necessarily the way things are. Whenever we become too attached to anything, it just doesn't feel right to us as human beings. The way things are is obviously temporary. We know that there's a season for everything, but that season for everything kind of reminds us not to become too attached with the way things operate, even the physical laws of nature, the way things operate, that those are just one of many ways. We don't know what the other ways are, but we can be open to it. We have to be open to it, because right now humanity's at stake, and right now operating in the current paradigm isn't working. This current oppositional paradigm, this paradigm in which all of us are scared, in which there's a great degree of scarcity, and there's a lot of shame about us. Where does the shame come? It's survival-based shame. We're not smart enough, we're not talented enough, we're not, socially good enough, and whatnot. All of those are survival fears. If we have abundance, who cares how talented somebody is? Who cares how crazy or not crazy anybody is? If everybody has their needs met, those type of feelings of shame about who you are go away. So we have to find ways to expand the pie. Howard Dean mentioned that politics is about allocating a fixed pie and succession planning. That is so depressing. Do we want that to be politics ad infinitum? Do we want politics to continue like that? That's a depressing state of affairs, and it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable from a heart-centered view. It depresses the hell out of me just saying that. We want to expand the pie. You can't have a fixed pie in a universe that's expanding, and you can't have politics shuffling the deck or slicing the pie. It's not going to work. It's always going to, go to the people who have more power and are more networked in, kind of like, fungus is networked into the earth. These people are networked in through various social connections, through inheritance, through education. Just they're networked in through the network of society to take the majority of the resources. And trying to work with that network through the current political system isn't going to work. There's just too many pressures and too many ways on politicians, from the school board at the base level all the way to the president. As much as anybody would want to benefit society as it is, there's just too much pressures on them